The universe is infinite, but life is limited. If you don't know it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. My name is Zeng Wuji. Today I introduce the most incredible story in China, Chinese fortune-telling. Fortune-telling will be accurate to what extent? Today we introduce the folk fortune-telling stories in a series of stories. Since ancient times, folk fortune-telling in China has been very common, but the authenticity of most of them is not easy to grasp, so we can't recommend it casually, so we choose cases with high credibility, some cases with official confirmation, or semi-official cases, for your reference. Friends who are interested in this regard can refer to and communicate. This is a Chinese folk fortune-telling story that has been corroborated by two heavyweights with official backgrounds. The authenticity should reach more than 90%. There is no need to fake it. It can be said to be a true narrative, so such cases are very rare and precious. This case involves two people. One is He Xin, a well-known official scholar and member of the CPPCC with international influence in the 1990s, and the other is Li Jing, who holds a high official position. They corroborate each other, which is very rare. Let's take a look at the official introductions of the two first. Who is He Xin? Wikipedia introduction: He Xin, a Chinese scholar, is currently National's political consultative conference. In 1991, under the arrangement of Deng Xiaoping, Li Xinyan and other leaders, He Xin was transferred to the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. In 2003, Zhu Rongji, the National Committee of the Chinese, was dismissed from. After 2008, he once again served as a member of the 11th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. In 2013, he was re-elected as a member of the 12th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference and is still a full-time member. In this case, Li Jing is the secretary of the Beijing Mentugu District Committee and the secretary of the Beijing Federation of Literary and Art Circles. These two positions are very ideological. You say that it is absolutely impossible to fabricate stories for the sake of attracting attention. He Xin and Li Jing respectively wrote an article describing this fortune-telling case. The most exciting is He Xin's long article The Strange Man Wangenqing, which includes several stories. Story 1. In the summer of 1991, I was commissioned by the State Council to go to Heilongjiang to investigate the border trade economy, and I passed by Heihe on the way home. It was a temporary idea during dinner on the same day, and decided to go to Wudilianqi, a famous volcanic town, overnight. As soon as we left, a Beijing off-road jeep was sent by the local area. Dr. Sun Weihua, the director of the research department sent by the Provincial Party Committee office, accompanied me all the way through the vast mountains and forests of the Daxing'an Mountains overnight. In the morning of the next day, we arrived at the urban area of Wudilianqi. But as soon as I arrived at the hostel, someone greeted me and said that comrades from Beijing were welcome. Secretary Li Jing of the Municipal Party Committee was waiting for you at the guest house yesterday. This statement surprised us all, because mobile WeChat communication was no more convenient than it is now. We came here on the spur of the moment during dinner, and the departure time was already after 2100 hours at night, so it was too late to inform Wudilianqi. How could the secretary of the Municipal Party Committee know our purpose of coming and wait at the guest house in advance? I asked Li Jing. We actually decided to come here on the spur of the moment, so how could you know in advance that we are coming? Li Jing said with a smile, we have an expert here. He can predict the future and know the past and future. The expert here pointed out that someone from Beijing is coming recently, and this person can help me transfer to Beijing. Sure enough, you are here. Story 2. Li Jing took Director Sun and I to Wangenqing's home in the village. The first time Wangenqing saw me, he uttered two sentences, which made me feel ashamed at the time, but the people accompanying him clapped their hands unexpectedly. These two sentences are, "You are not an ordinary person." You are not an official, and you go in and out of the Forbidden City. An old farmer in ragged clothes, who I have never met before, said these words, which made me suddenly admire him. Note, after the student movement in 1989, Xin was reused by Deng Xiaoping and Li Peng. I quickly said, Mr. Wang, please sit down. But I don't want him to continue talking to everyone. I said, do you have a cabin? I want to talk to you alone and ask you for advice. The old man let me into a narrow side room and closed the door. I said, you can talk about it. The old man squinted at me and said that my family affairs include private life, including a lot of privacy, which surprised me. The strangest thing is that some of the things he said at that time were fulfilled many years later. Story 3. After returning to Beijing, I told my friend Su Rongxiang what happened to this old farmer. I suggested that he send someone to take the old man to live in Beijing. Su Rongxiang was very interested and readily agreed to arrange it immediately. Soon after, Su Rongxiang took the old man to the Beijing hotel and settled him down. This is Mr. Wang's first visit to Beijing. In order to test the ability of this old man, Su Rongxiang and I once conducted an experiment. We copied the birth dates of some famous people from CI and Dictionary of World Famous People, mixed with the birth dates of Su Rongxiang's nanny and family members. On the day of the month, mix it up and ask the old man to read it. Among them are the Queen of England, the Emperor of Japan, Guomorwa, Lu Xun, and so on. The results surprised us. He said, these are some random people, Chinese and foreign, dead and alive, everyone. There are emperors, women, writers, emperors, and babysitters. Su Rongxiang was entangled in lawsuits and faced many troubles. The old man said, don't worry, it's all right, and all troubles will be over before the end of the year. China will not be able to hold you in the future. You will be happy to die in the end, Peng. The son who was by his side before he died described the situation to me many times, saying, after a phone call with Hillary, my father was very happy. Just laugh, talk while laughing, and end up choking a mouthful of food in your throat while laughing. Su Rongxiang told me that once the old man calculated that he might go out to the north one day, but he was not allowed to go on that day, because dangerous accidents would happen. Su Rongxiang recorded his warning on the calendar. But when that day came, there was an important when the characters came to Beijing, Su Rongxiang had to go to the airport to pick them up in person. As a result, his Mercedes-Benz was hit by a collision on the way north, and the car overturned on the isolation belt. He and the driver climbed out without any danger. I remember that year Su Rongxiang I took Pharaoh to Beijing 2 or 3 times. After arriving in Beijing, Su Rongxiang and I introduced some of our friends, including many social sages and famous people to meet him, and we were all amazed. Story 4. The famous crosstalk actor Ho Yaowen came to see the old man. When he met him, he teased the old man and said, I don't believe you, old man. What can you tell me? I don't know why, but the old man doesn't seem to like him. He said, you are not a little playful, you look good. My girlfriend. Ho Yaowen said, do you know who I am? What do I do? The old man said, isn't that just relying on words to make money? Wudalianki was still a remote village at that time. There was no TV signal in that place, and Lao Wang's family was poor. There is no TV, so I don't know what crosstalk is, and I don't know who Ho Yaowen is and what he does. Ho Yaowen teased him and said, if you continue to make up, what else can you see? The old man squinted his eyes and looked at him carefully for a while and said, I don't be unhappy about one thing, you will wear mourning soon. Ho Yaowen said disapprovingly, it doesn't scare me. My father is a public figure. There was news in the newspaper that he was hospitalized with cancer. Who are you talking about? The old man sneered and said, I don't know who your father is, but When the old man said this, he looked up at us and said, "You just prepare. Your old man has passed the first day of junior high school, and he can't pass 3 5s. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, we saw on TV that the leaders of Beijing went to the hospital to visit Ho Baolin. Ho Baolin sat in a wheelchair, his face flushed, and he was in good spirits. He said that he was grateful for the care of the people of the whole country. He recovered very well, will soon return to the stage to perform for the people of the country." After watching this program, we commented, "What the old man said to Ho Yaowen has failed. You can see that Ho will recover soon and will be discharged from the hospital." Unexpectedly, after half a month, the situation changed suddenly. Bad news came on February 5, 1993. Mr. Ho Baolin passed away on February, for that day was the 13th day of the first lunar month. Sure enough, the first day of the Lunar New Year was over and the 15th day was gone. Story 5. Yes, the last prediction of his own life. I remember that one day in the spring of 1997, I suddenly received a call from Mr. Wang at home. Among them, Wang Enqing said that he was ill, implying that he might die soon. Soon, Wang Huichuan, director of the Heilongjiang Materials Department, he came to Beijing to visit me and told me, "Mr. Wang passed away." I was very surprised. Why did he go so fast? At that time, the old man was not too old, only about 60. Director Wang told me that Wu Lianqi later treated Lao Wang very good, because he did a lot of things to attract investment to the city during his lifetime, introduced many projects, and promoted the economy of Wu Lianqi. Before his death, Lao Wang made a request to the city, hoping to be buried according to the old customs, and the city made an exception and agreed. A cemetery was approved for him in the mountains. According to Wang Huichuan, who was the director of the Heilongjiang Provincial Department of Materials at the time, he said, at the beginning of the year, Boss Ning in Hong Kong had completed the complete set of procedures for Lao Wang to go to Hong Kong and was ready to pick him up. But after the Spring Festival, Director Wang heard that Lao Wang was sick, so he went to Wu Lianqi to see the old man and asked him when he planned to go to Hong Kong. The old man said that he had to wait until after the Dragon Boat Festival. It must be passed in this life. If he does not pass, he will die of illness. If it passes, everything will go well in the rest of his life. Whether he can pass it or not, it is fate. So he must wait until the Dragon Boat Festival is over before he can say whether he can go or not. Dragon Boat Festival. Everything went well that day. It was very peaceful and nothing happened. At night, the old man was very happy. Thinking it was all right, he wanted to go to a nearby temple to see. The abbot and monk in the temple were good friends with him. God, there are many people who come to the temple to burn incense during the day, and someone stole the incense money from the pilgrims. The temple reported the case and closed the mountain gate tightly, which is usually not closed. The old man saw that the temple gate was closed. He went around to the back of the temple. There was a hole in the gable behind. The old man wanted to go through it. Unexpectedly, there were many new security guards in the backyard. The thieves beat him violently, and as a result, the old man suffered internal injuries and vomited blood. After being sent to the hospital, the old man refused to be hospitalized, refused to be transferred, and refused to have an operation. He went home and practiced by himself. After a few days, he passed away in a hurry. The last word said that I should be punished by heaven for revealing secrets in my life. So I refused all the help of friends during my illness. The ancients said, "Those who steal secrets are inauspicious, and those who detect deep fish are inauspicious." Xian lamented that he was quite lucky to meet some strangers in his life, but Mr. Wang Enqing is the most incredible person I have ever seen. There are also records of such characters in ancient history, such as 3 Guan Rin in the Kingdom of China, Lu Bowen in the Ming Dynasty, and so on. Dr. Zeng's comment. There are many stories about fortune telling, but there are very few truly convincing cases. Cases where two-party and state figures like He Xian and Li Jing corroborate each other at the same time are very precious. If this case is allowed to disappear, that is a pity, so we deliberately extracted it for the study of interested friends at home and abroad, which is very meaningful and necessary. Wang Yanqing's fortune-telling case also gives us a question to think about: is a person's destiny completely fixed? Even a rare expert like Wang Yanqing, who can accurately calculate the date of his death, why can't he change it? Under what circumstances can we change our lives? Let's explore the most incredible story in China for the next episode. Well, that's all for today, as we roll out some of China's most incredible stories every week. I hope everyone supports. Welcome to discuss. Remember to subscribe to encourage us to continue to create. Thank you.